Okay, breaking news. I wish I could go through one day without breaking news, but at the moment, the professional wrestling world is on fire and it is crazy. Now, Ryan Satin from Pro Wrestling Sheet is reporting that multiple people in the WWE who have indeed been at the WWE Performance Center have tested positive for COVID-19 this week. This includes in-ring talent. This story has also been confirmed by the likes of Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer, so it would appear to be definitely true. Now, it's unclear when they were tested exactly, or how many of the people who were tested positive were professional wrestlers, or were they just staff, were they just ring crew, producers, whoever. We don't know, but we know that at least one of them is an in-ring talent. Sources have said to Pro Wrestling Sheet that at least 3 people who had been at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando received positive test results this past week. They've gone on to report that testing will now be done by WWE's medical team before this week's TV production commences, to make sure that the virus has not spread amongst talent or behind-the-scenes workers. Now, this comes after last week it was reported that an in-ring competitor had tested positive for coronavirus, which did lead to WWE finally undergoing major testing for all of the talents. Remember, prior to this, they hadn't done any testing whatsoever. They were getting people to just fill out questionnaires. They were doing temperature checks and asking the talents, how are you feeling today? And this was back then. So it took them months to actually put in a testing procedure, and look where they've got them. They've taken this idea that if we don't test anyone, we're not going to get any positive tests, and then we can carry on as we were previously. As I mentioned before, WWE and Vince McMahon doesn't view COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic as something to be treated seriously or something to be taken seriously. He's treating it like it's an inconvenience. He's treating it, oh, we couldn't do WrestleMania because of this. Oh, it's a pain in the backside because we have to do our TV tapings this way. And this is on the back of, and this is really concerning. So this is now the fourth person at the WWE PC to test positive for COVID-19. This comes a week after they had members of professional wrestlers, friends and family in the audience. They were told they couldn't wear masks by Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon. WWE denied this, but it was later confirmed by multiple sources that Kevin Dunn got over the loudspeaker at the WWE Performance Center and stated, don't wear masks. Guess what? Because it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, or it could ruin the sound. Well, who cares? Who really cares what Kevin Dunn thinks looks good or sounds good or not? I don't care about a TV show. I care about people's health and well-being and safety, and I care about the coronavirus and COVID-19 not being spread around the country and around the world. This is a global pandemic. We are in late June. This thing has been around since the start of this year, by all accounts. We've certainly been in lockdown since March across the world, and quarantine since March across the world, and WWE are just now putting multiple testing procedures in place. It's not good enough. It just isn't good enough. And every time this story comes out, it makes me more concerned, because if that's what is getting out, what's getting out that we don't know about right now? That's the concerning thing for me. I mentioned you had friends and family of WWE superstars and employees in the audience. They signed waivers to say they weren't going to sue WWE, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What if someone there contracts COVID-19 and then gets seriously ill and dies? Is that what WWE is really waiting for right now? And bear in mind, for the last 2 weeks on Monday Night Raw, they've dragged out Ric Flair for in-ring promos and performances. Ric Flair, who is 70 years old, by the way, and has had multiple health issues over the last 5 years, nearly dying on 2 separate occasions. But they're getting him inside an enclosed space surrounded by people who could potentially have tested positive for COVID-19, let alone the people in the back who could have tested positive for COVID-19. It's not good enough. But WWE has up their Perspex hockey glasses, right? They've got the hockey glass around the outside of the ring, like that's going to make a difference. They're having that, and they're having herds of people in there, but they're not having masks. And until last week, they weren't even having proper testing procedures, because it doesn't benefit what WWE wants to do, and it isn't good enough. It isn't good enough. I said last week that I think this was going to get worse, and that's what it looks like right now, doesn't it? To me, it looks like this is only going to get worse. I wouldn't be surprised if more tests come out as positive. Now, we were told in the report and in other reports and other sources have said once they got the negative results last week from their COVID-19 test, they were allowed to go in and perform. We don't know. what WWE did with these positive tests. Who knows what they did with these positive tests? Were they allowed to go in and perform anyway? There were horror stories prior to this that when they were doing these temperature checks and medical questionnaires prior to actually doing proper testing, they were allowing people in the performance center anyway, even if they had a high temperature. Can you really believe that? That's not good enough at all, is it? I mean, really, if you have a high temperature, they go, this is higher than the actual threshold, but we'll let you in anyway because we need you for the show. I mean, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. The medical negligence, allegedly, I must say here, is staggering. And like I said, I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better. WWE has well and truly dropped the ball when it comes to testing and when it comes to the health and safety of their talent, of their performers, and of their employees. That's why you've had Roman Reigns stay at home. That's why you've had Sami Zayn stay at home. That's why you've had Kevin Owens stay at home, because it doesn't feel safe for them to compete for WWE right now. It doesn't feel safe for them to be in the Performance Center right now because WWE's testing procedures just aren't good enough. They don't know the competitors and the staff and the employees there. They don't know who has and who doesn't have the coronavirus or who doesn't have COVID-19 at the moment. How can you feel safe going into that environment, knowing that the testing procedures and the health and safety procedures are so low, and then potentially going back home and giving it to your family and your loved ones? It's just not good enough. It's not good enough at all. And as I mentioned previously, I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better here. Now, of course, WWE hasn't come out and confirmed these positive test cases yet. I don't know if they will. Now that this story by Ryan Satin has been released, we'll have to find out sooner rather than later. Of course, if we do hear something from WWE or they do announce something from regarding these tests, we will of course let you know. So be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms on the screen right now, so we'll keep you up to date and give you the latest news there. Or go to Wrestle News 365. We'll be doing multiple posts and articles on there about that also. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak with you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.